All right, everybody. It's Friday night. You know what time it is. Rob down here at Woodwork for Recovery, and
Jason.
we got a little podcast going on here tonight. Attitude for Gratitude. So again, Woodwork for Recovery. Attitude for Gratitude. We got this young man's story of relapse and redemption. So we're gonna get started here, and we're gonna have Jason tell us what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. Or if you want to put it in different formatting, it would be your experience, strength, and hope, whichever format you would like. The stage is yours. Let's hear it, Jason.
All right, here we go. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Let me see. I think my introduction to drugs and alcohol was about age 15. It started off harmless enough. Drinking with the neighbors and then smoking weed and that went on off and on for a couple of years, and that turned into introduction to cross tops back when you could buy them at the local convenience.
Oh wow, yeah, you go way back.
Way back.
Yeah, you're before the peanut butter crank. Yeah,
that's right. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
And from there, it was just dabbling a little bit.
Yeah.
In high school, hallucinogenics, LSD,
yeah,
mushrooms,
yeah,
more weed, keggers.
When it was fun. Yeah, yeah.
Before things got nefarious and ugly.
Yeah.
In my early 20s, I started doing cocaine. I had started getting in trouble in upstate New York, and my mom sent me out to the West Coast, Oregon, to live with my biological father's brother, Michael Kevin, and moving from upstate New York, Saratoga Springs, to Eugene, Oregon, to get out of trouble and away from the drugs, my mom moved me unknowingly to
more drugs.
Drugs. Yeah. One of the drug meccas of the West Coast. And very quickly was I indoctrinated into the hippie subculture. Where everybody migrated to Oregon from Haight-Ashbury, from San Francisco after Woodstock and the Summer of Love, and really delved into hallucinogens.
So this was back in what year would this have been?
This would have been 88, 89.
That was when the cocaine was good.
Right, yeah, it was very, very good back then.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I got in with some cats, and it turned out that my Aunt Katie, my Uncle Kevin's wife of many years, was a friend of Jerry Garcia's.
Oh, nice.
And and then my uncle's best friend, who grew weed with him, lived in Veneta, Oregon, right next door to King Kesey.
Yeah.
And so immediately delved into the hallucinogenic neighborhood and culture, and wound up moving down to California. And was offered a job, went to work for the Grateful Dead.
Nice.
Did that for 5.5, 6 years. Right up until right before Jerry died in the mid '90s. And during this time, my high school friend Mike Porsetti and his family, who were my neighbors in New York, had moved to Apache Junction, Arizona.
Yeah.
Down the street from Sonny Barger's compound. Late Sonny Barger. And at any rate, that was my introduction to speed that was coming out of the Super Labs.
Yeah. Way back when.
Lemon drop, strawberry swirl, coffee can crank, the peanut butter, and didn't need a whole lot of that. And,
biting holes in your cheek and staring at your nose.
We were changing engines out in cars and painting the house at the same time, brother.
Yeah.
And then
so you were around right at the beginning of it, like really like the whole culture, like fast forward to what it is today, it's just totally different. But
like you were saying,
back then, it's that's wild, man. All the way from the beginning. That's cool, man.
Completely different, right? And so at that time, I took my first job in construction in '96 for Westport Construction, framing in Tempe, Arizona. Which is not far, 30, 40 miles from Apache Junction, which freeway you take. And that was the lifestyle for many years. We work hard all day long, and we party all night long, right? Yeah. And this went on for many, many years, and it was the norm.
Right.
I want to back up a little bit to back when I first moved to Oregon from New York. My Aunt Katie, who had dealt drugs and done drugs for many years with my uncle Kevin in Eugene, Oregon, decided to get clean.
Yeah.
And she did just
so your seed, there was a seed planted
took
there.
me to
Yeah.
my first Narcotics Anonymous meeting when I hadn't been in Oregon a week, and she
Yeah.
said, "Hey, I'm going to take you with me." And
Yeah.
she was really new. She had less than a year in the program.
Yeah.
She was all about it.
Yeah.
And she did plant a seed.
Yep.
My aunt stayed sober ever since. So everybody on the West Coast knows Katie Fuller, my aunt.
Yeah.
But at any rate, so through missteps and charges and misdemeanors and felonies, and you need to go to a meeting from the PO or the courts.
Yep.
I would swim in and out of the rooms in Narcotics Anonymous.
Of course, yeah. Things got a little hot and go cool down for a bit. Yeah,
that's right. Turn the burn down.
Yep, yep.
And so it wasn't until it wasn't, and this went back and forth for 2 decades. It wasn't until the mid 2000s that I really started to realize I developed a prescription narcotic addiction in conjunction with my speed activities.
And it's wild how those kind of sneak up on you.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got a cold. Someone's like, bro, you're dope sick, bro.
Right.
You're like, no, I'm not.
Right.
No, not me.
Well, back then, that's when they were overprescribing.
Right, and that's when they were like, it's good for you.
Hey, here's another prescription.
Yeah.
You're on your pinky at work today. You've got a sliver. Here's 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And I developed a pretty significant habit to prescription narcotics. And that stayed with me from the early 2000s right up until I got clean in 25. And then I had, the prescription narcotics had turned into fentanyl at that point.
Yeah.
So along those lines, I kept going in and out of meetings, right?
Yep.
To circle back to that.
Yeah. Did the same thing. I did the same thing at 14 was my first meeting, and I didn't get clean until I was 31. So
right. I get 3 months here, go back out, 6 months here, go back out.
Yep.
And the longest period of sobriety I had was in 2013, 2012 into 2013. I had got a year.
Yeah.
I had got a sponsor.
That's such a huge milestone. It is.
I was going to meetings and sharing meetings and whatever service work I could do, and trying to.
And this is in Oregon or Arizona?
This was in Oregon. This was
okay.
in Central Oregon. I moved out of the Valley in Oregon to Redmond, Oregon, and lived there. My brother lives there, and my 2 oldest children in Central Oregon. So at that point, it was suggested in first year recovery not to get into a new relationship.
Yep. But that one doesn't apply to me.
The addict in me is like, I appreciate that advice.
Sounds good.
I got this. Watch this, Dad.
Yeah. Right? I did the same thing. Yep.
It didn't take too much friction in the relationship. And the gal that I was with, the mother of my 2 youngest children, relapsed. Yeah. And then shortly after that, I relapsed.
So when this happened, like you guys got together and it was like a couple of months after you got together, or was it like you guys were just like busy being in love and like you guys just like talked each other out of going to meetings and like, oh, this feels good, this feels right, you can be my support, I'll be your support, this is all we need, you know what I'm saying? Because we don't really need those meetings, right?
We continue to go to meetings, right? And we were really respected along the lines of, hey, these guys are doing it right.
Recovery power couple. Yeah.
We were the recovery power couple, Mr. and Mrs. Goodshare.
Yeah.
But it was all for positive, but not really grasping, the things that I know about recovery and where my walk is today with my recovery and self betterment.
Yeah.
So life will be life then, right? And the storms of life, and you're in a relationship, it's not always going to be rainbows and unicorns, unicorns, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I had developed a kidney stone, and my urologist, I told the ER doc, because I had to go, man, like I was in bad shape, went to the ER, and I remember telling the emergency room doctor, I don't want any opiates.
Yeah.
I'm in recovery.
Yeah.
And his response was, are you sure?
Yeah.
There's a kidney stone. A fairly large one.
Yeah.
Well, no, man, I can make it, right? Just give me some Toradol and I'll take some ibuprofen.
Yeah.
He said, well, I remember his response, like, well, pain won't kill you. Right? Well, little did I know they were sending that ER visit paperwork to my urologist. I had a urologist. And back then they could still phone in narcotics.
Yeah.
So the call I get at lunchtime the next day said, hey, we got your results and your CT scan results, and we see your stone. We phoned in your Flomax, your Zofran, and your Norcos. They're at Walgreens waiting for you.
Yeah.
That's all this addict needed.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take these the right way. But I need to go get these because I just got a pass from my doctor.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
a free lapse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So that turned into an actual relapse. Yeah. Imagine that. Yeah.
Right. I beat down there right after work, and I remember I did okay for the first 2 doses. Then the pill bottle wound up in my snowboard boots in the garage.
Yeah.
And then I was prescribing myself at that point.
Yeah. My foot hurts.
Yep. She found out about that, and that was, it was a huge breach of trust, right? It damaged the new relationship that we were in.
Yeah.
And then she relapsed drinking.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was all bets are off. And then it wasn't too long after that we were off to the dope house getting back dope.
Yeah.
And
so now dope, this is meth or this is heroin?
Meth,
okay.
Meth,
yeah, because you might as well go up from coming down, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Let's go on this airplane ride.
Right. We're gonna hit turbulence. This will be a non-stop flight.
And this is in 2013.
This was 2013.
So this is this was P2P dope, right?
Yeah.
At about that time, because about 2008 is when that started happening.
Yeah. You weren't doing any and going to sleep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So that led into another huge fight, right?
Imagine that. Yeah.
Now the cops have been called.
Oh, yeah.
Now the PO wants to talk to me, and now I am absconded.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we spent the next.
I'll be there in 5 minutes.
We spent the next 7 years actively, 8 years moving from town to town. We would do well. We would get some. I wouldn't say true periods of sobriety, but definitely
minimal damage.
Right? We would get a business going again. We would get a house. We would start to get things back. And and then the addiction would creep back in, and we would lose it, have to move again. Right? The cops would get called. We're like, I'm under the radar. We're not staying here now. Like 6 cops were at the house last night.
Yeah.
Until we moved to the Twin Cities right before COVID.
Oh, okay. And so that went on for a minute then. Yeah. So what so you guys were just floating around, just starting businesses and
Yep.
And it was mainly your business, or she had a business too?
She worked side by side. We were both carpenters. I taught her to build, and she came from a family of builders.
Oh, okay.
It was kind of a shoe.
So those fights were really really to it. She had some hands, man.
She had some hands.
Them framers got strong forearms, man. I know that much. My dad was a framer.
Yeah, she could drive a 1650 in two hits.
Yeah.
At any rate, long story short, so all my dad's side of the family are from upstate Wisconsin. Most of my family is buried there, the ones that have passed away, and then I have aunts, uncles, and cousins that live in Merrill, Wisconsin. So I wanted. At this point, we had 2 children, and the kids were 2 and 3. Yeah. 1 and 2, almost 2 and 3 when we moved back here.
So the whole time you were on the run from probation?
At a downward departure at 36 months, and at PV, I'm like, I'm not going to prison for 36.
That's a good run, man. I wouldn't have made it that long.
And so it turns out they weren't going to extradite me past the Rockies, the Warren said.
Oh.
And so we leave it alone. That's there, and it's been so long now. And
you still never had to.
I've not. No.
Wow.
You
beat it. That's very rare.
One of those we're talking 13 years later.
Yeah, statute of limitations is done now.
So I think they probably cleared it up there. So we're here. We got a business going. I was building down in Texas. We'd done a house for Michael Dell, and my ex had cut her left hand in half with a compound miter saw.
Whoops. Yeah.
The day before Valentine's Day, 2015. So she immediately was thrust from her DOC, which was alcohol and meth. So now she immediately is rushed into surgery, cut her fifth metacarpal in half, her ulnar nerve, her radial nerve, and as her hand bounced around over the blade after a down cycle, it slid across the back of her hand, cutting off the glider tendons. So now she's in pain management. Now, between that and me being in pain management as opiate addicts, prescription narcotic abusers, we've got the keys to the kingdom. Yeah. We had hundreds of oxys a month, right? Immediate release 15s, 20s, in conjunction with benzos, and they whatever you want, here you go. You're in pain. Yeah. And so we moved here and we decided we've got to make a change, especially with our children. We'd had Elizabeth, my youngest daughter, and Enoch, my youngest son, by this time. And we wanted better for them than what we had. So we were trying to make it honest go of it. So we titrated off the prescription narcotics and went to kratom.
Yeah.
The kratom consumption came to be a lot.
Yeah.
At first,
is really unhealthy from my understanding. Yeah.
Unhealthy.
Yeah, like really bad. Worse than opiates and worse than anything.
And we were buying it by the kilo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
From what? It's a tobacco shop?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we had
Well, you like had a little backdoor deal. You're like, hey, bro, let me talk to you. Let me talk to you.
Specific brand,
Yeah.
We buy half a kilo at a time. And
so you just eat it, or you just snort it, or
we were eating it a tablespoon at a time.
Oh, that's got to be so bad for you.
Yeah, so now she's relapsing again. This is in 2020, December of 2020.
Yeah, but we think that like we're doing better. I mean, and in theory, you know, from outsiders looking in, like you might be. Right, because it's like there's just so many different like levels of degradation that like we have to face, right?
Absolutely.
And it's like kratom is like, well, I mean, I don't know, I didn't die yesterday, so I mean, like we're doing good, but you're just eating spoonfuls of it. Oh,
right. And so here's the rub, right? This is the justification: is that I don't have to drive an hour and a half. I don't have to go lie to different doctors at different emergency rooms or different doctors' offices and give them fake names and fake social security numbers to get another bottle of pills.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so along those lines, it seemed like it was the lesser of two evils.
Absolutely.
So
that sounds good even to me right now. I ain't gonna lie.
Right.
Sounds legit. Absolutely. Minimal damage.
So we have a domestic. CPS is called.
Yeah. And this is in Wisconsin.
This is in Circle Pines.
Oh, Minnesota. Okay.
In December of 2020.
Okay.
I haul ass. I'm like handcuffs. No, it was my birthday.
Yeah, he's sitting in jail on your birthday.
She was hammered, right?
Oh no!
And out the door I go, and the cops are called by the neighbors because she's out in the front yard yelling, "Help me! Help me! Help me! He's gonna kill me!"
No.
She was just drunk, and I wasn't gonna go get any more liquor at the time.
Yeah.
At any rate, so
that's love.
Lion Lakes Circle Pines PD shows up and takes our kids.
Yeah.
We're 2 and 3 at
time.
It was 2 and 3 at the time. Because she was so hammered, she couldn't have anybody. She didn't know anybody to call. She was like, "Well, here, drunk, right?"
Yeah.
And so now the kids are gone with CPS. They're in temporary foster care. She and I come back together. I drove to Duluth that night, and then I came back the next day.
Mm-hmm.
We're together. We're finishing up a deck job we were doing in Brooklyn Park, and we have another fight at the Red Roof Inn.
Yeah.
Off of 494 there. And I'm going over to the Holiday. I'm driving, and I get pulled over.
Yeah.
Now the warrant for the domestic out in Rhino Lake pulls up, right? And so I go to jail. Well, this started us down a path where I did 2 weeks in jail. Was working with CPS out of Anoka.
Yeah.
Started doing outpatient treatment.
Yeah.
Outpatient domestic violence classes. She went to Recovering Hope
in Austin,
right, for 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then I held the fort down here. They were going to give our kids back after 9 months, and they said you need to get a letter from your doctor for the kratom that you're taking because you keep pissing. I wouldn't stop taking the kratom.
Oh yeah.
She couldn't take it. Because,
so what was the justification? Were you like, yeah, my hand hurts or my back hurts?
Well,
or
I do have a messed up lower back.
Right. Is that what you were telling them, or
well,
like?
Yeah,
is that...
I told them point blank. I use kratom to titrate off prescription narcotics.
Yeah.
If you knew how many doctors I would manipulate for opiates.
Yeah.
At a monthly basis, and how many felonies I actually was committing on a federal level and state level to keep getting prescription narcotics, you would welcome this plan.
Yeah, it sounds legit. It sounds good.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Right? There's
to you, it sounds great.
Don't you take it?
But they're like, bud, there is these kids, right? And you
don't take away my candy, Rob.
Yeah. They
make me get a prescription
for kratom.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Allina Health, my provider, gave Karina and I both, my ex, a valid prescription for kratom.
That was nice of them. Yeah.
That was nice. Here you go. After like 3 letters that CPS rejected, they're all, no, we want a prescription. The doctor's all, well, how do I write it up? How much do you take? And so I told them, and that's how the prescription ran.
Interesting. I never knew that they ever prescribed that.
We're probably
the first one.
We're probably the only ones in the state that have a valid prescription or have one for kratom.
Yeah, that's great.
So fast forward a little bit. She gets out of treatment and Recovering Hope. We get a place off University of Lowry. All is well. Business is going, and she has a relapse. We're just doing kratom at this point, but now the drinking happens again. We have a fight.
Imagine that.
1 o'clock.
They seem to go hand in hand. I don't. You know what I mean? It's weird how that works. You
can't It's like Love and Marriage. It's a Bundy's episode.
Yeah. You know what? A little pause real quick. I was watching that the other day, and I was like, what a great world that we could have lived in where, like, a shoe salesman can provide for a whole family and have a house. You know, it was like,
the 80s.
Man, you know, like, I was watching that the other day at my mom's house, and it was just like, man, it just broke my heart. I'm like, yeah, that ain't never happening, you know?
Right.
But anyways, you were saying, yeah.
Yeah. So we have another fight. Cops come.
Just a misunderstanding.
At 1:30, right?
Yeah.
You're at the bar. Come home. I've never been more disappointed.
Yeah.
We go back and forth.
Yeah.
Get arrested again.
Mm.
This time things do not go back to normal. This was in July, the last week of July of 22.
Yeah.
They just took a face back from their CPS, Hennepin County CPS.
So when you were going through COVID and all that, like, were you guys quarantining? Your business was still rolling and everything was still legit? Everything was still going as usual, huh?
Yeah.
And just kratom up the whole time. Oh man! So did you ever have like gut pains or anything?
No.
Like I could imagine that at some point, like it would have like.
Constipation, right?
Yeah, I could imagine.
It's like, you're eating all that powder. And
So did you ever do the drinks then?
No, just the powder. Just 8 tablespoons of the powder, like 6 or 7 times a day.
Did you get headaches?
I did not.
Really?
No, because
you're like, it was great for me.
No, here's why, Robin. Listen, I don't really have a bad thing to say about it other than for an addict, it's like being on Subutex, Suboxone, or Methadone too long. Yeah. Those medications have a season, and I think that they I agree. Medicinally, they can be beneficial if you're trying to get off of heroin or fentanyl, right? Yep. There's a place for them.
I agree.
Stay on them long term, it's just a Band-Aid, bro. You're a junkie staying loaded, whether that be medically or illegally, right? So for me, and I can only do me, right? In my recovery, it was a non-starter to me. Like I titrated myself in jail, I'll get to that in a second, off of Suboxone. Yeah. And I had been on a lot of methadone for many years. So after CPS took my kids for a second time, and we wound up homeless and on the street. Business was in disarray. Now we are smoking a grip of meth at this point, right into December of 22. Yeah. And now we are flat on the street. Now we've been introduced to fentanyl, the blue, imitation. 30s. Yep. Yeah. The Perk 30s, the imitation.
And so was there ever a point where like you got off the kratom, or you were just still on the kratom and you guys just started to get some meth?
The fentanyl took precedence over the kratom.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, no, eventually. But I was just wondering if there was like a period of like abstinence in between or something.
There was not. It rolled in from having a prescription for kratom and
that's so unique, man. Only an addict can pull that off. Like I got a prescription for kratom. I've never. It's like Tim says on here. Like I've never seen that either. That's wild, man. Yeah. That's wild.
So I did that, not that I'm waving a flag that way. So, and the blues quickly replaced that. And being homeless and not having money to buy kratom because there's not a whole lot of people on the street.
So, whereabouts were you? The Minneapolis-St. Paul area?
North Minneapolis.
Oh, okay.
And then, migrating on the train. Yeah. Wound up living on the train or a bus line, right? Yeah. Because of the winter, and could not get it in gear for anything.
Yeah.
And that.
So about how bad was the blues? Was it? I mean, because that just gets crazy.
The blues, the blues escalated really quickly
from 1 to like 50. Yeah. From,
2 or 3 a day to 20 a day.
Yep.
Right.
At least,
that no longer was filling a void, and then the powder fentanyl was introduced to me. Right. In conjunction with the amount of meth the cartels are putting on the streets. Now everybody had a bag of meth, right? And so now it's nonstop.
For like $10. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, dude, it's insane how
I was getting ounces for 130, right? And so it was really cheap, readily available. And now I have an addiction to fentanyl that doesn't allow me to go more than 4 hours without going into withdrawal. On some level, the beginning stages thereof. And this completely took control of my life. Yeah. This went on from...
So the powder fentanyl.
Yep. This went on from the fall of 22 until winter of 25. It ended with me trying to take my own life. Yeah. In the North Line train station. Yeah. in Fridley.
So what? It was you just tried to take a bunch of pills, or you're just trying to stab yourself, or you had a gun, or
I was actively at a methadone clinic, and I just got a week's supply of methadone.
Yeah.
I was on 150 milligrams a day.
Yeah.
I drank 3 vials of methadone.
Yeah.
Had gotten a gram of fentanyl.
Yeah.
From one of my plugs, the droppest fenty I could find. Smoked that, and God woke me up the next morning.
Oh, just pissed.
There was another guy I used to get high with out in Fridley, outside the elevator doors of that train station. And when they opened up and I saw him, he said, "You got any fetty?" And I said, "You got any money for coffee?"
Yeah.
And he gave me $4 in change. I let him hit my foil twice, and he went into respiratory arrest, and collapsed, and lost his life.
Yeah.
I was charged with murder 3.
Oof.
Sentenced to 11 years in prison.
So did like right in front of you, like, and then the police showed up, or did like it happen after the fact?
So it happened after the fact. I did not know that he was in the shape that he was in.
Yeah.
I thought.
Did you even know that he died?
I did not know that he died.
Oh no.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, here's my mindset is that I was just trying to kill myself hours before.
Yeah.
I did not have all my faculties about me, right?
Well, and here's the thing is that like people, you know, like if you ask me, like there's some good solid proof right there that there is a God. You know what I mean? Right. Because you went and got a gram of that stuff, and he hit it 4 times, and he's no longer with us.
He did it twice.
You know what I mean? And
you
drank how much? You probably did enough opiates to kill a horse or a cow. You know what I mean? And you're still here. You know what I mean? And that's, to me, like that's proof that there's a God. You know, like that's how I feel.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You know, and even in you know the mishap that happened, right? There's still God in that too. Don't get me wrong. Like, you know, God bless the dead, and you know, I mean, it's too bad that somebody lost their life, but the thing is that like you found your freedom in that. You know what I mean? And like, and that's what set you free. Because I mean, here's the thing: we're addicts, right? So it's like, I know for me, like, I'm not going to stop unless I have some serious consequences. Right. And I got to get stopped. Like, I wasn't one that was just like, oh, I woke up and I just wanted to quit. I mean, some people have that. I'm not that way. You know, like something really has to happen in order for me to like finally be like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I got to blow my whole life up. You know what I mean? Like anything that I think that I wanted to hang on to has got to go. It's got to go. You know what I mean? And then even from there, it's like, I still got to make that conscious effort to actually get to where I need to be. You know what I mean? Because it was like, I remember my last one, you know, and it was like, I got released because I had a DUI. Like there was heroin in the car, but they didn't because of Stevie's Law, because they were checking on my welfare, right? But they could charge me with the DUI. Sure. You know, so they didn't charge me with the heroin. They charged me with the 4th DUI, but luckily it was just outside of 10. I think it was like 2 months outside of 10. So that wasn't a fun. I got just lucky on so many different levels, right? But I remember being like, finally, like I'm free, right? And then I heard over the intercom, like, Herman, pack it up. And I'm like, uh-oh. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I knew what was ahead of me. You know what I mean? And like, and I ended up overdosing and almost losing feeling in my left leg. It could have been permanent. You know what I mean? So I went even further after that. But I can remember thinking like, it's finally over. You know, so like, so what happened? Like, what you were just chilling outside a bus station, and cops were like, "Boom, I got you, like, murder!" And you're like, "Wait, what?"
So at this point, I'd already been arrested for blues or fentanyl, or meth, several times in Fridley. All the cops knew me.
Yeah,
they knew me from the trains and dealing narcotics on the trains.
Yeah,
right, over the last couple of years.
Yeah, just survival. Yeah.
And so facial recognition, we live in technology world now.
Yeah.
It didn't take much, but one revisit for me back to the train station and crashing out there for another night, as I did.
Yeah.
And when I didn't see a corpse in the bottom of the train station, I assumed all was well when he came to after his nod, but that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
9 officers arrested me the next morning, guns drawn, and later that day I was charged with murder 3.
Oof, man.
And so I the 5 months that I spent in Anoka County Jail, praying to God I wasn't going to prison for the next decade.
Yeah, well, because I mean, yeah, that's a long time.
That's a long time, especially at my age.
Yeah. I mean, you would have got out senior citizen? No.
My ARP would have expired.
Close. Yeah.
Would have expired.
Yeah.
By the I would have needed a notebook home.
And that's the thing too, is that like the older we get, man, the less time we have, the more valuable it becomes. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, even right now, I'm 41. Like, I couldn't even imagine going for 4 or 5 years, even. And then 10 or 20. I mean, you know, that's a wrap, man. For me, that'd be like in my head, it's the rest of my life.
That would be a death sentence. It's thinking that way to me, right? That's how I perceived it. And so I was on Suboxone because I couldn't get methadone. And I give you methadone in no county jail unless you come in with it.
Yeah.
And so they took pity on me and put me on a regimen of Suboxone. And while I was in there, I was talking to God. And I said, God, I didn't have a deal at the time. I didn't have a proffer. I had nothing from the DA. Other than you're in a lot of trouble. And
let me just let you stew on it for the next couple of months. Right. Yeah.
So the conversation I had with God was this, Rob. I said, I've made you a lot of promises over the years. Mm-hmm. I said, if it's your will for me to go to prison, so be it. I know what I did, and my choices to use drugs and sell drugs has hurt everything that has ever meant anything to me, including myself. I said, but either way, I want to let you know I'm serious this time. Yeah. And I quit cold turkey. Yeah. Like I went down for a dose because you had to go to a special room to go get your dose of Suboxone based off of where you were housed in the jail. And the lady's all, you don't want your dose today? I said, nope. I remember sitting in the corner and crying, right? Like the flood of emotions was too much to contain, right? Yeah. Everybody that had been down there dosing with me for months, was like, right on, man, right on.
Yeah, that's powerful. There's power in that.
It was a rough next week and a half, I can tell you that.
Oh, I bet.
Sure, right? Yeah. Like, here we are, like pre-arrest, pre-booking all over again, right? Fresh off the street. Yeah. But I got through it, and God made a way. Yeah. And gave me favor with the courts to have my freedom back and to get another lease on life. Yeah. And so my recovery today, it means a lot to me on a lot of different levels.
Everything.
Not only do I have a business again, not only do I have my own place again, vehicles.
Yeah, I've kind of, I kind of watched like you come in and like you already had your path, right? So that's kind of cool that like, because some of us, I know some of us like they can't go back to their old stuff. They got to do something completely different. I know for me that's what I had to do because like I was a welder and stuff like that, and I just figured I was just gonna weld, right? But it's like watching you come in and just kind of just go right back to business as usual, man, and just go about your everyday life, but like what it is, man. That's serious. Like that's some super serious shit.
Dude,
right?
You have seen me take the bus to meetings, bro. You've seen me skateboard to meetings, bro. And scars and tattoos. Right. Like I didn't always, Yeah. It's
getting to get your life back, right? Get your teeth fixed, dude. That's a huge thing. Huge. That's a huge thing. You know what I mean? Especially, it's like because like especially like you walk around and like and you talk to people and like you just see the judgment in their face sometimes. It's like, wow, man, like you ain't gotta be so obvious. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you're talking like this, and
it was a source of contention, right? And shame. Yeah. Right. Like and self-loathing. Like why can't I have good teeth? Why can't I have straight teeth? Why can't I get it in gear long enough to get a set of new teeth? Right?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I need to help myself.
Yeah, I remember I had no front teeth for like 2 years, from like 24 to 26, and it was like that's a terrible time to not have front teeth, right? You know what I mean? And I thought I was Mr. Ladies Man at that age, and it was kind of a real humbling experience, you know what I mean? But like the thing is that like my teeth got knocked out, right? You know what I mean? For something that like I was just standing there. I was just standing there. Like it wasn't even like I wasn't trying to fight nobody or nothing. Like I was just standing there and like I really got my ass whooped for no reason. You know what I mean? But like what's crazy is that like fast forward today, I actually got like a third-hand apology from this person. Because his name got brought up when we were riding motorcycle, and he's like, "Oh, this dude's like, oh, you know him?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's the guy that knocked my teeth out 18 years ago." And he's like, "You don't like him?" I said, "No, I didn't say that. That was 18 years ago. I don't care about that." You know what I mean? Like. And then, like, I got a third hand, like, well, he says he's sorry about that and that he was a real piece of shit back in the day, And I wanted to be like, well, tell him thank you, to be honest. Right. At the time, I didn't see it that way, right? But, like, from then on, like, I really realized that, like, dude, number one, you're not as tough as you think you are. Right. Number two, you're gonna walk around like that. Eventually, you're gonna see it. Somebody's gonna show you, and it's not gonna be a good day for you. You know what I mean? And like, and it wasn't. It was shitty, man. Having to get my teeth fixed it took me 2 years. When I finally did, man, I cried. I remember that, man. And like, one of my friends borrowed me the money to like get it done. I got the little flipper done, man. But like, realistically, man, like today I want to thank him. You know what I'm saying? Because like it also could have changed the trajectory of my life, right? Because like how I thought I was Mr. Tough Guy, and all these things, but like really, it was just pain. It was just a lot of pain that like I was projecting, man, that I didn't really understand at the time. Right. You know what I mean? And it's like, I mean, thank God that there's a God, man, and he may have showed up by that punch. Right. You know what I mean? It just doesn't seem like it at the time, right? But like now it's like, I mean, I try to treat everybody with respect. Yes. And never underestimate the other individual. Never. And number three, like that's the last thing I ever want to do. Like I don't even like violence. No. And like most people wouldn't think that from looking at me, you know, but it's like, I don't even like it. You know what I mean? And thank God, I guess I look a little intimidating, and like, I don't have to participate in it. Right. Because I don't like it. I don't like how it feels. I don't even like winning. Cool. Yeah. Wow. I just punch somebody up and like, yeah, you know, like that doesn't feel good. No. You know, and then like, you know, something that I make amends. The thing is about this like recovery, right, is like it changed my perspective, right? Because it's like if I think that like, and let's say that I think that I can take this person, right? Like I could whoop their ass, right? And if I think that, the second thought that comes into my mind, like, what about their kids? Right. What about their little daughter that says, "Hey, daddy, what happened to your eye?" Right. You know what I mean? Like when I think of that, dude, that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart, and it just doesn't do anything for me. No. You know what I mean? And it's why recovery had to do that for me, right? Because like walking in here, man, it was like, you know, I didn't think like that. Like you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I sat in the back of the room, man, and like really, I didn't even know that I had anxiety. Like if you talked about mental health, like I thought you were a pussy, you know, and that's what it was. You know what I mean? Because like you don't talk about your feelings. You know what I mean? And I was like, man, that's just an excuse. And I didn't even know that I had anxiety until about 6 years, man. Like actually, it was at Willwork that somebody like told me about that. Like, you have anxiety, hon. And I'm like, what? That is? You know what I mean? Do I? Yeah, you know.
Now I'm anxious about that.
Yeah, you know. But like I didn't know at the time, like when I first got here, that I had so many, you know, especially the opiates, man, because they affect a different part of your brain. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like it's a weird piece of addiction, right? Like a lot of addiction is the same, the behaviors are the same and stuff like that. But like the darkness behind the opiates, it just feels a little different for me. At least that was like my experience, right? And it was really hard to like step out of that depression. It was like a real long depression. I remember, like, you know, in early recovery, like probably like 6 months. It was just, I just felt dark. I didn't really feel human. You know, it was just different. Like, whereas like for me, methamphetamine, like, you know, I just felt like a piece of shit. Yeah. Right. You know what I mean? I slept, and 3 weeks later I got fat, and I felt good again. You know, but like, and then this is just my experience. You know what I mean? Like, I can't talk for everybody, but like, that's just kind of how it was. Like the opiates, like it feel like it's just such a different spin on it, you know? And I can only imagine like the feeling of like, wow, this dude lost his life and I'm sitting in jail, and it's like, wow. And then you're sitting there like, if only I just would have stayed in the program, right? You know, you get to think of all them things like, man, if only I didn't take a left, right? Because before I got clean, I had 5 years of going in and out, and I could only get 30, 60, 90, 30, 60, 90. Right. And I wasn't really into the opiates that much, you know, like in my younger years, it was just more or less like methamphetamine, and I hated methamphetamine. Yeah. You know, I liked the beginning. That was it. You know, other than that, like I didn't like the stories. I didn't like, you know, sitting up at 3 a.m. listening to somebody talk about some conspiracy theory. I didn't like hearing how somebody had 8 businesses and they're a millionaire, but they got to bum a cigarette from me. You know what I mean? I didn't, just any of it. I hated it. I hated it. And I couldn't get away from it, man. But like, the crazy part about it is that like I got on opiates so I could quit drinking. That was why, you know, I'm just like any smart alcoholic, right? Like logic, right? You know, but I think that if I hadn't have gotten the opiates, I probably would have never got clean. You know what I mean? Because like that's kind of what showed me like what the reality of like this disease really is. Right. It wants me dead. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because like when I was, you know, and it's crazy if I look at like the projection of like my drug use, right? Is I always like, I pointed over there. And I was like, well, at least I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Oh, at least I'm not doing that. And then when I was like, well, on the opiates, I was like, well, I guess I'm doing that. You know, and like, luckily God found a way, man, that I got to be able to get out of it, man. And so explain, like, so how long did you sit in jail for? Like 5 months?
I was 5 months in jail.
Yeah.
And then I had an offer to go to treatment.
Yeah.
And Teen Challenge had come in there, and I sat and listened to their whole spiel about you know, what was happening there on their campuses. And you know, I thought for so many years, right, I would go to outpatient treatment to check a box, right?
Absolutely. Get the heat off real quick, man. I used to think of it as a vacation. Yeah, I did.
Turn the burner down, make some new friends, right? Chop it up a little bit.
Yeah, meet Petey the plug. You know what I mean? Because everybody's got a good plug, better than me. That's right. Yeah.
But this time, you know, it was different when I had stopped taking.
Yeah. When you said that I felt that, you know what I mean? Like it was different this time. You know what I mean? Like something was different. That's how I felt when I went this time too.
I've always done something to appease the courts, to appease an ex, to appease the family. This time it was for me.
Yeah.
I quit the opiates because I wanted to.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody made me.
Yeah.
There was no carrot in front of my face.
Yeah.
Right. It was something that Jason did for Jason. And so I wound up getting the opportunity to go to Teen Challenge, and I did. And I did their short-term program, but I really immersed myself in that. And while I was there,
and this was the Minneapolis location?
Yeah, this was the Minneapolis.
Okay.
And while I was in there, Rob, like, my mom on her deathbed in 2004 had given me the keys, really, the beginning of unlocking why it is I became an addict to begin with. And we're sitting up one night. My mom, God rest her soul, died of lung cancer. She died really quickly in 2004.
Yeah.
From the time they diagnosed it, 6 months later, and she was
gone. Yes, that was my dad.
We had
4 months.
My first wife and I flew down from Oregon with my oldest 2 kids, and said goodbyes. So everybody was in bed. My mom and I were sitting up one night and on the couch, and she said, "I want to tell you I'm sorry." And I said, "For what?"
Yeah.
And she said, "For moving you so much."
Yeah.
She said, "I moved you 52 times before you were 12.
Yeah.
I was constantly the new kid.
Yeah.
Constantly leaving my friends,
Yeah.
losing a bike or something familiar, a box of toys or stuffed animals or whatever the case may be."
Yeah.
And I think that damaged me during childhood development, man.
Yeah.
And so I never really felt like I fit in. And I didn't realize this, but I kept everyone at arm's length.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you don't want to be too close because you're just going to move anyway.
I'm just going to leave anyway.
Yeah.
Right? This is not going to last. Everything is temporary. I was taught that everything is temporary.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, it is, right? We're only here for a short time and then we're gone.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be that temporary.
No.
Right?
No.
And so, I had to make peace with that. Once I realized that was the beginning to breaking down the shield that I held up that I didn't even know I was holding up because I didn't want to be hurt.
Right.
But in doing that, I hurt others or kept others away and became almost unapproachable by those that would want to be in my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And share that with me.
Yeah.
And I replaced what was once a solid relationship and intimacy in relationships with drugs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I could control the drugs, right? The drugs brought me false sense of security.
Yeah. Well, you didn't need anything else.
Right. False sense of belonging.
Yeah.
Right. And identity.
Yep.
This is my identity.
Yep.
In this bottle of pills, in this bag of dope, in this weed, right?
Yeah.
This
comfort. This is where my comfort comes from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so I dealt with that, right? In Teen Challenge with I squared with the fact that was one of the biggest components for me becoming a drug addict, right? I was always predisposition with my disease of addiction.
Right. Family and something, and then that just the icing on the cake,
that was it.
Yeah, for me it was abuse. Okay. I got abused when I was a child, and you know what I mean, and it man, it's but I kind of knew that for a long time, right? But I never really addressed any of it. I never really addressed the exact nature of it until I got clean.
Right.
And I never really I made peace with it, when I realized that I was worse than my dad was. You know what I mean? But then, still to change, it took me some years. But anyways, you were saying.
Yeah. So I did the short term, got out, and I have immersed myself since I graduated in October of last year.
Yeah.
In several meetings a week, as many as I can make with my schedule.
Yeah.
I have a sponsor. I call him a couple times a week. We text message every day, and I have a large community of fellow addicts and alcoholics that I share with, that I open up with, that I care about, that care about me. Today, I'm at a place where I can give love and be loved, right?
Yeah.
And I can be myself. I don't have, people point out my imperfections, and I'm like, you're right. Not, not the fuck you that used to accompany that.
Right. Because how are you going to change if you're not going to face it? And sometimes, and maybe you don't feel like changing. For me, there's some things I'm like, I don't really care. Cussing, I'm a cusser, dude.
Right. Not
don't care. And I don't want to change it. Don't give a shit. I really don't. And some people are like, well, you should. Well, I don't.
Right.
you know, but I mean, some people do, and that's cool. You know, that's your walk too, you know.
Right.
And some things that like I still work on too that like I need to change, you know, that people point out to me. But one other thing too that like the people that love me like do point out is that you're human.
Right.
Right.
The grace.
Because we're
Here's
so
some
hard
grace.
on ourselves.
Here's some grace.
You know, we're so hard on ourselves, and like, and if you can give yourself as much grace as you give everybody else, like you'll be good, right?
Yeah.
Because like I tend to give a lot of people grace because I'm like, yeah, well, you know, you fucked up. Oh well, you know what I mean?
Grace have I needed?
Right. You know, and like when somebody says that, and that's what I love about like this program and like the people that you meet, and like, you know, God speaks through people, man. And when you hear that, it's like, oh man, there's so much relief in hearing that, because like, there's just this constant like loop in your head that like, you know, it can just get so much, you know what I mean? And it's like with like this disease untreated, man, like fuck, I mean, using almost seems like a better outcome, you know, like and I didn't know that when I got here. I thought it was just about the dope.
Right. No,
you know,
it's way
I thought it was about the dope, man.
Deeper.
You know, and now it's like, fuck, man, there's this too.
It's way fucking
you know
deeper.
what I mean? And it is, and it's like there's so much to it that like, God, I can remember when I first got here, man, and I would listen to people. I'm like, oh, that's just an excuse. He's just using that he's an addict as an excuse. That's it. You know, and now I'm like, man, I found myself saying the same thing, doing the same thing, feeling the same way, looking the same way. And I'm like, man, this is what they're talking about, you know, and you know, slowly but surely I've learned, you know, to not judge as much. You know, I am human, and yeah, I do judge a little bit, but for the most part, it's like, you know, oh well, you know, everybody has choices, and like, you know, like I said last week, man, like we all have things that like we're not proud of, you know, and we all have things that like we really wish that we could change about ourselves, and like, and maybe in God's time, you know.
That's right.
But I got to remember that like constantly, you know, like through and through, you know. So Teen Challenge, man, I kind of want to touch on so like a spiritual experience, man. Like was there a moment that like you can share that was like that really just opened your eyes to what like the power of the Holy Spirit is and can do, and like what was that feeling like? What was that situation? You know, I like to talk a lot with people in spirituality that like had that experience, that like people that have the experience know what they're talking about. You know, it's like, yep, I know what you mean. Even like it's almost like it's not describable, right? But people that have had that experience know how to describe it without it being described.
Sure.
Right. You know what I mean? So like if you could break something like that down for us, man, that'd be great.
I'd
love to hear it. You know?
Yeah, Rob, here we go. It quite literally was the first night.
Yeah.
That after I got done with the intake, and because you know, when I got out of jail, released on the conditional release, that I still hadn't gone to sentencing on this murder 3 charge. They did something with my clothes. I left there at like long johns and the jail slippers. I didn't have the clothes. I got arrested. What the fuck? Yeah. So I went down to the clothes closet. They had a blessing closet down there. I got a couple changes of clothes. Got to my room. The roommate had left to go do something on campus, and I'm looking out the window at the very streets I used to walk down loaded. Yeah. And God said, because I had many conversations with God. Yeah. And I walked by Teen Challenge coming off the Lake Street loaded. 6 o'clock in the morning.
I can imagine, yeah.
And God, I've been propped up out front on the retaining wall and smoked above one night, and God's all, you need to be in there. Yeah. And I'm all, I know.
Yeah,
I will, Dad. I will. Yeah. And so I'm looking out at the street, and the sun was setting, and God said, I want you to know it's going to be okay. Yeah. Look at where I just took you from, right? Yeah. And in my mind, it was like he had parted the Red Sea, and he did. Yeah. You know, legally, spiritually.
Well, you're just like, wait a minute. There's something going on here, man. That's right. There's something going on here, and it's God, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
And, you know, he said, I gave you the strength, you know, to stop the opiates, and you made a leap of faith in stopping the Suboxone in jail. And he was like, I got you. Let's go. Yeah. And that was it. That was it. And I
nice and simple. Yeah.
Nice and simple. And I just keep all these things in the forefront and out front of my recovery and my life, one day at a time, bro. Yeah. One day at a time. I focus on the blessings that I have. Because each day I'll have enough stress of its own, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Keep being life.
Yeah.
Things are so going to keep happening.
Yeah.
But when I focus on the things that God has given me, and the friendships that I have, and the network of people that give a shit about me, and that know that I care for them. Yeah. it's a whole lot easier to navigate. So I mean that, the Holy Spirit moment, that epiphany, I think it keeps repeating itself for me, Rob, to answer your question, to come full circle.
Yeah.
Day in and day out.
Yeah.
Every time I step into a room in Narcotics Anonymous, every time I fellowship with another member of Narcotics Anonymous and a member of my church family, it just reiterates, right, that God is real, he's on the throne, and that he's still doing miracles.
Yeah.
Every single day, right?
Yeah.
And I want to go back to what you were, the tooth thing for a second.
Yeah. Because
it wasn't until a Saturday morning meeting when I heard you share.
Yeah.
About how your dental structure and the lack thereof made you feel.
Yeah.
That I was able to relate to another human being about the shame that I carried over my mouth for so many years, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for that, I thank you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because at that point in time, I didn't feel alone.
Right.
With my feelings.
Right. Sitting back there like, oh, yeah.
In my mind, I was the only one on the planet that felt that way, right? And that's how my brain had worked for so many years.
Yeah.
Every problem I have that is something in my airspace is only something that I deal with on the planet, right? And I stayed loaded over that kind of mentality.
Absolutely.
Forever, bro.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And
that makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I think of, and that was a goal of mine for a long time, like to get like actual implants, right? Like I got my teeth fixed when I first got, clean. I got them all pulled out and I had dentures, but like for me, it was like I just kept like hyper focusing on like, oh, my jaw's getting smaller, I'm looking older, you know what I mean? I'm looking at my driver's license photo and I'm like, oh dude, look at that small jaw, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, oh, your big old forehead, man, it's your little jaw and your big forehead, man, you're looking old, and I'm like, we're our own worst critics, you know what I mean? Always. And it was like, it was a goal of mine, man, and like, and it just came true. But the thing was that was crazy about it is it was a really rough time, because my dad got sick and he was dying. But like it's crazy how like you can still go through like blessings and lessons at the same time, right? And like there's always some positives to be had in some situations, you know what I mean? And like thank God for that like we can come into recovery and see that, because I didn't see things that way. Like I just always saw the negative, and like and I can still be negative a lot now too, right? But I gotta come to meetings, I gotta come do things like this, I gotta what I mean, hear other people's perspective, especially on a Saturday. Like I'll come to the meeting, man, and like somebody will just drop something, I'm like, man, I needed to hear that, you know what I mean? Like I needed to hear that. You know what I mean? And it's like, and it's something I'm thinking about, and like the crazy part is like that's how, like, for me, man, it's God, because it's like like these people are saying exactly what I need to hear and they're looking at me. You know what I mean? Like, they ain't looking behind me. There ain't nobody behind me, man. I know you're looking at me. You know what I mean? And like, that's God being like, look, bro. You know what I mean? And they say he's got a sense of humor, man, and he sure does. He does. Sure. And I know, like, for me, like, I get kind of wrapped up in like, like these things of this world, right? That like really aren't gonna matter when I leave this earth, right? And I gotta remember that, like, because like I get so stressed out about paying bills and just all that, and it's just like, oh, inflation and everything that's going on, just social media and the evilness and that, and just so many things that like I just get caught up in. And it's like when I just think about God, it's like, man, it's just, if I can just think about that, man, that's all I need to think about. That's all you need. You know what I mean? And I think about it, and it's like, and he takes care of me. He does. He always does. And it may not look like it at the time, but the thing was is that like when I was younger, like I didn't really see it that way, right? I just thought that like God hated me and I was being punished, and like I got a life that I didn't deserve. Because I can remember my first week in treatment back in 2016, like crying. Like, why did I get this life? You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, just feeling sorry for myself, right? You know what I mean? But like, it's when I look back on it, it's like God brought me through that to get to where I am today. You know what I mean? And like, and the thing was is that like, and it's not even about all that like material shit, because it mattered to me in the beginning, because like, I mean, well, we come from a place that's pretty broken. We don't have anything. Like, we're lucky to have a pack of smokes. You know what I mean? Back when I smoked, but that was a luxury. You know what I mean? But it's like, and then we get all this stuff, right? And then we realize that it's more than that. It's a deeper thing than that, man. It's an internal job, where it's like, and like, yeah, I mean, it's cool to have things, I'm not going to say like there's anything wrong with that. Like, I got things that I wanted that I never thought that I was ever going to have. Me too. And, but the longer I go on, the more that I realize that that's just not what it's about, man. No, and I got to remember that like through and through again. And I got to continue to like be available, help others, and get different perspectives, I share a lot about like I've been going back to this meeting that I used to go to in early recovery. It's an AA meeting, which I mean I don't care any AA I go to, but fucking A, I'll go to that meeting, you know. But it's really cool because like I find myself doing things that I used to do as a newcomer. Like I come up to people and I ask for their number and I actually conversate with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like because I got so far away from that. You know, I walked myself right into this. Oh, I'm going to talk to these 3 people in my life, and then, you know, I'm going to do these things, and it's the same thing over and over again. And it's like, how am I going to like be spiritually fit if I'm just doing the same things over and over again?
That's right.
You know, because like, you know, and it's like, well, I can't trust everybody in the rooms. Well, no, I can't. You know what I mean?
That I can love everybody in the rooms.
Right. And that's something that I had to learn, man, because like that wasn't something that was ever taught. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that wasn't really taught to you either. Like, you know, growing up around the bikers and all that stuff too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
that was just the culture. You know, I can remember, you know, going around my dad's friends and it was like, it was just this, you know, I didn't think about it at the time. Right. But like looking back on it, like clearly it was a front and the guy sold cocaine. Right. So he had a motorcycle shop and I can remember being a kid. And we would just go to this motorcycle shop and like literally the dude never did anything. Like there was a bike that was there my whole childhood.
Dust on it, shit hanging from the hair.
Yeah, and like I think he put bars on it. I think that was like the only thing that he did in like 10 years. And I didn't think about it, you know, when I was younger, but I was like, dude, that was a front. He was selling cocaine. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Like, but it's just wild, man. Like to think about those things and like to give yourself a break that God can do something in your life that like wasn't taught to you because that wasn't in my atmosphere. Right. The only I mean a lot of the only love that I got was from my mom. At least that's how I felt. You know what I mean? Like my dad beat me up and you know, I don't know, looking back, I mean, that's all he knew. You know, how was he gonna do anything different? He didn't know.
Right.
You know,
that's the way he was raised.
But he got sober when I was 10 and that stopped, right? And then he like tried to correct it and it just didn't work, blew up in his face and you know, had to deal with me and like, you know, of course we made amends and you know, we were friends in the end and like but thinking about it, like, you know, how mean I was to my dad, like you little fucker. Like, I would have beat my ass if I was my dad, but he didn't. You know, I don't know. I mean, at some point, yeah, I don't know. I think about that, and it's like just the struggles that we got to go through to like to be who like we're destined to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's crazy to think about, like, you know, it took all them years of like being on the run, like I could only imagine like your mental state for like those 7 years before you moved here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would suck. I remember there was a guy that like he had a murder charge like that. He sold somebody some heroin and they died. And like and he was selling meth and like shooting meth like as he was on a run for like and I could just feel this guy's like dude, it was tense. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, just being around him, man.
Triple bypass.
Yeah, dude. Like I could just feel the stress. Like, dude, why would you shoot? Like I would be on opiates.
Right.
If I was running you know, I do not want to be hyper aware of everything that's going on. You know what I mean? Oh my God. I could just imagine. And you know what? Like this individual actually got clean and he ended up overdosing, you know? So I mean like, man, and that sucks. That's a lot of lessons about like not going back out have been so present in my life.
Huge.
You know what I mean? Like he like really turned it around, man, and he was doing good. He was in the gym. He was loving that. You know what I mean? Like he found something better to do, and like that was kind of my path too. I love the gym, you know. And it's like, and then he went back out, man, and then boom, done.
Yep, that quick.
You know, along with everybody that like I used with, man. I mean, like, well, if I break down like my degrees of using, right? Because it started out as alcohol, and then you know it just gradually got a little worse. And then it was like my skateboard friends, you know what I mean? And like. Right. And then my skateboard friends were like, yeah, Rob's too much. And then I had this really big resentment towards him, man. And like, and that really hurt, man. And I can remember like in my later stages of my using, like back when I was on the fentanyl, like all I would do and I was content, right? Like I was happy. Like I would go get my heroin, which was fentanyl at the time, you know, and I would go back to my parents' basement. I would hang out with my dogs and I would watch skate videos, man. And I would cry, man. You know what I mean? Like I would cry, man, because it was like, man, I miss that. I miss being a kid and skateboarding, man. And like, and all them dudes kind of turned their back on me, man. At least that's how I felt, right? But like realistically, like, you know, I was poisoning them because it was like I always had drugs. And if you're with me, like you were gonna do drugs with me. Like I didn't really care about like getting money from you or any of that shit. Like, I mean, yeah, I'd sell you some, but like more than likely I'm gonna do some with you.
Right.
You know, and it was like I was like this black hole in their life that like I didn't see it that way, right? And like fast forward, now it's like some of these same people, like I can't have them in my life. You know, they're not doing drugs, but they're drinking like every day. And it's like, man, like they're probably going to die. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I hate it, man. It's like to see that. And it's like, man, I can remember y'all saying, hey, you should really stop this. But like fast forward 20 years later, man, like I'm like, you all should really stop this, but there's no stopping.
Right.
You know, and it's like, that sucks. But like I hung around one of them, what was it? I went to the Tech Nine show not that long ago, and like, you know, he said something that was just about my teeth. You know what I mean? Like about my teeth, because I said something about cigarettes, and I mean, anybody that knows me knows I hate cigarettes, and I'm always talking shit about cigarettes. You know what I mean? But I think all I said was, that was the only regret I had. I didn't really regret the drugs. Like, oh, you smoked all your teeth away. You know what I mean? And I was like, this motherfucker, you know?
You got a lot of nerve.
And I got so uncomfortable, man, that I left. I didn't even see the show. Like I paid $90 for the show, and I was that mad. I was that mad, and I just went home. You know what I mean? Because like it was like, it hurt my feelings, really.
Yeah.
You know, and he ended up apologizing. You know, he was drunk. You know what I mean? And like that's what drunk people do. And I don't think that he really meant to be that mean, you know, or say that, you know. But like it was also just a bad day, and it was like, man. But just after that, I was like, you know, just really evaluating, like, do I really need to be around that? You know, like, do I want to be around, like, I'll be there for the individual that, like, I'm always responsible when anyone anywhere reaches out for help.
Sure.
Right. If this individual calls me, man, I will take him to a meeting. I'll take him to detox.
That's right.
I will help him in any way that I can that is inside my boundaries.
That's right.
You know, and it's weird how like life can do that, man, because I can remember missing them dudes so much. You know what I mean? And like now it's like, I can't really have you in my life. You know what I mean? And
recovery affords us that, right?
Yeah.
A whole new lease on life, for me, and I can only talk about me, like I see the world differently.
Yeah.
Not from a pedestal, right?
Right.
But from a place where I feel more connected to the human race than ever.
Yeah.
And I also feel that I see things for what they are, right?
Yeah.
And so I don't put myself in positions where narcotics are being used, where people are getting hammered.
Yeah.
Because I know that my addiction is always with me, right?
Hey, bro.
And
remember me?
Just like that scenario, right? What I know is something that's going to push me off when my current walk might have some curb appeal at some time.
Yeah.
So I just don't go there.
Yeah.
I just don't.
How long you been clean now?
Couple
years?
17 and a half months. I'll have 18 months on the 11th.
Oh, okay. So you're that fresh. Yeah.
Fresh, but this is the longest.
I love that.
This is the longest period of complete abstinence from drugs I've had in 39-year
Yeah.
drug and alcohol career.
Yeah. Yeah. This is my experience this time too. You know, it was like, this is the first time even making it over a year, you know, and like, fast forward, I got 10, but like, man, like those first, like and here's the thing too, is that from 0 to 3 for me, like I kind of was on a pedestal. I felt like for me, like I felt that like maybe I was better than a lot of things, right? Up to year 3. And then God had to humble me, you know, and I don't really feel that way. And like looking back on it, like, but I mean, don't get me wrong, like I felt great. Right. You know, but I do think that like I did put myself on this pedestal. Like I was somehow better than this or this, you know, and I had to walk through experiences in order to know that like I'm just an addict too. I know I'm just as close to that action, that behavior, that use, any of that as anybody else.
That's right.
You know, and I can bend that straight line too. You know what I mean? And I don't always follow recovery. There's been things that like I probably shouldn't do in recovery. You know, watch Drugs Inc. on a Friday night. I don't know why I still do that. I mean, I haven't done it in a while, but I don't know, for some reason I just love watching the drugs and I sweat, my palms sweat, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it just gets me high. It's kind of, it's like, dude, you sick bastard. You know what I mean? Like that's sick shit. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, I probably shouldn't do that, you know, and there's other things, you know, that like I'm not so proud of, that like I've partaken in recovery that like has really got me to learn that like, look, dude, I'm just as faulty as anybody else. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I got to remember that on a daily basis, you know, and like, thank God that I have a God that has mercy on me. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And man, it can get, so how long before 18 months?
Well, tomorrow's the 1st, so 11 days.
Man,
11 days.
And
I'm pretty, you know, so here's the thing, you know, I want to piggyback on what you just said. I'm proud of where I'm at.
Yeah.
The work that I put in, but I don't feel like I'm prideful.
Yeah.
Right now, I can still be prideful because I'm human, but I don't stay there. That's the difference, right? And if we can be aware of our shortcomings, or things that may present us in a light that isn't 100% positive or beneficial to our brother or sister, then that's something to take a look at, right?
Yeah.
And I think that most days I do better than not, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't make me better than, it just makes me somebody who's trying.
So are you sponsoring guys now?
I have a couple guys I'm working with. I
Yeah.
had a sponsee, but we both agreed that he may need somebody who can be more hands on with him. And
Yeah.
I've been so busy that I try to be there. So
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm holding off from having any sponsees
Yeah.
until my second year,
Yeah.
and things are a little more even
Stable.
Yeah. Because right now, it's still. I'm still getting me together, and
Yeah.
will always be doing that thing, but really so, coming back in. Because here's the thing, you hear stories, right? And I've heard the old timers say this, and Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous say, if you think you got another run in you, well, just go back out there and try it. And we suggest you don't.
Yeah.
But chances are you're going to fall faster, harder,
Mhm.
longer, stay longer, spend more than you ever wanted to. If you
Or it might be it.
And that might be it.
Might be it.
That's a wrap.
I feel for me, it was like I was at the end of the road. You know what I mean? And I know that like obviously like there's a chance that I could go out there and live, but for me it was like I overdosed on Christmas. You know what I mean? Like if God's not trying to tell me something, I don't know, bro.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
But like the crazy part is too is that like my clean date is 2/8, right? And my birthday is November 28th. You know what I mean? So like there's like these like little sequences of like being reborn, right? And like like that birth of a new life, man. Like I think about that and it's like, why would I want to do that? And like it'll sneak up on me, man. Like, I'm like, well, maybe I could do some yard work and drink some beer. Like stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
that's gonna
what the fuck would you want to do that for, dude? Like you ain't bro.
No,
Maybe once. There might be one day where like I could do that, right? And then I'll be like, well, I'm normal. And then like, well, I might as well get a 6-pack next weekend, and don't tell anybody, because why would I want to do that,
Right.
And then the next weekend it'd probably be 6 and maybe, and then it'd be like the frequency would go a little bit, closer and closer and closer. And before I know it, man, my life's out of control.
Bam.
You know what I mean?
Time and time again, I've proven that.
Yeah.
To myself.
And I've seen so many people like, especially like with long-term recovery, 10 years, 11 years, Corey Lemke got rest his soul, man. COVID happened. He started using again. He's no longer with us, I watched an addict that was like really in the rooms for a long time, all of a sudden he's posting about drinking beer and like sounding like he's a real beer connoisseur, and I'm like, oh, this is a slippery slope, and I just saw a video of this addict like, well, I'm an alcoholic and I'm starting over again, and I hadn't seen the guy in I don't know how long, and it's like yeah, and it's like, well, there's a good reminder. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't do that. I can't afford to do that. Why would I want to do that? And it's like, I know it would just be a nightmare of like me trying to like 1, hide it, 2, convince myself I'm normal, and 3, trying to control it. Ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean?
It never has and never will. Not for this guy.
I think that like my disease is so sneaky that like it would for like a week, right?
Yeah.
Like for a week, like I'd have the 3 beers. I'd have a certain number and I would reach that number and I'd go to bed and I'd go to work and maybe things would be all right, right? But I know that that's just my disease working on me. Working on me. You know what I mean? Because it's sneaky, man. It's sneaky. And it's like, I've got this thing like, where like I'll walk myself into isolation, right? And I'll think like, well, maybe I could just go, and drink and socialize. And it's like, no, dude, like I'm not a social drinker. Like I'm a mean drinker.
Me too.
Like just mean. Like there's nothing nice about it. You know what I mean? And especially, 10 years of not doing it, I already know it can't be good.
No, it's going to be,
it's never going to be good.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just can't be, man. So it's like, and I still got to get back to the basics, man, and just keep doing what I got to do that I did in the beginning, because like, the freest I've ever felt was in the rooms, especially like at year 2 or 3, even though like I put myself on a pedestal, I was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life. You know what I mean? Because like I got like, I achieved this life that like I didn't think that I was ever going to get. Right. And like, and I got to places that I never thought I was ever going to be. And like, fast forward to today, that's still true. Right. But it's like, I feel that like recovery is like, it's weird because like once it's life, like, it gets boring. Right. And it's like, well, maybe I could do this, it's like, no, maybe I could not do that. Why would I want to do anything but this? You know what I mean? And just show up and share. And, I walk through these little patterns of like walking myself right out of the rooms. And I see it a lot with a lot of people with long-term recovery. And I see some people that have long-term recovery that are like me, that are like, I need meetings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and, like it starts with behavior. It always does. You know what I mean? And it always starts with behavior. And it's like, And for me, it's like there's like stages of this behavior, and like I don't really get past like the first couple of stages to where like it's really like a risky situation. Not that it couldn't happen, but it's like I'll find myself getting negative, and it's been like that recently, man. I know that like especially like being new to this home ownership and all that other stuff, it's like a whole new level of areas that I don't fucking know nothing about.
Responsibility.
You know what I mean? I never even wanted to buy a house. You know what I mean? Like I fucking never made it out of the garage. It was garage or basements if I was lucky. Yeah, how many garages have I smoked open, man? Where it's like, just like them situations where it's like, like the husband, like I'm hanging out with the husband, we're in the garage because he's not allowed in the house. You know what I mean? And it's like, you're smoking dope and you're like, man, this is uncomfortable. Right. And she's coming out like, what the fuck? And you're like, oh man,
Right, yeah. I feel awkward for you.
Yeah.
You're blowing my high, guys.
Yeah. Oh man, we can't do that. So what is it that you would like to accomplish by year 5? What is your long-term recovery idea? I mean, I wouldn't say put a expectation because that's just a premeditated resentment, but like what are your goals? What do you want to do? Like what does future Jason want, you think?
Future Jason wants to follow suit with your level of stress and being a homeowner.
Yeah.
I definitely hear and believe in God for him opening a door.
Yeah.
For my youngest 2 children to be back in my life and vice versa, right? Whatever capacity that is, right?
Yeah.
I dropped the ball of my addiction, but I'm willing to take whatever the adopted moms are willing to do.
Yeah.
To be present in my children's life. So I know God's going to make a way. He told me he was going to, and I'm trusting him on that. So that's the tentative 5-year plan. Outside of that, one day at a time, bro.
I believe that's achievable. That's a pretty achievable goal. Yeah, one day at a time. That's all we can hope for. What is it? Contingent. My spiritual condition is contingent on. What is it? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about. Right?
Sometimes like I'm not super good with the lingo, man. I used to be really good at it, but like I don't know. I have a spiritual condition contingent upon my daily maintenance. Is that what it is?
Daily maintenance.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. Maybe somebody's listening can pipe in and be like, "Look, man, you were close." Because
help us.
I didn't butcher it that bad, right? No, I'm close. Close enough. You get what I'm saying, right?
It's a day by day thing, right?
Yeah.
And here's why. Because I start future tripping too much.
Yeah.
And I start basing my recovery or my self-worth on monetary gains.
Yeah.
I'm setting myself up for a fucking disaster.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And I've done that in the past. Like, fuck.
It's easy to do.
Fuck, I'm glad that's over.
Yeah.
I'm better now.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case. It's led to not being able to maintain the quality of life, the things that I've worked so hard for, being present in my children's lives, all 5 of them, or my own or anybody else's.
Yeah.
Like, so today it's one day at a time. And by the grace of God, I talk to my oldest 2 kids a couple times a week, and God will open the door for my other 3 younger ones. So, one day at a time. I know that I only have what I have now because of my recovery, right?
Yeah.
Before it was reverse, right? I have what I have, and I'll just I'll bring in a little bit of recovery to go with that.
Yeah.
Today, Rob, it's the complete opposite.
Yep. Because recovery's got to be first.
And then whatever extra is out there, because there's no U-Haul following a hearse.
Nope.
Is icing on the cake.
Yeah.
My recovery is what means everything to me today.
Yeah. Recovery's got to come first, man. And sometimes like that kind of falls the wayside for me sometimes. I got to remember that. Like that, and it's almost like the better you're working in recovery, the better all the other stuff's going to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The door's open.
Like, you sit down and you do your step work and you're in contact with your sponsor and you're really getting in touch with like your inner self and your feelings and all these things of like why you operate the way that you do, you're going to be able to operate your business at a better, capacity.
That's right.
Whereas like if not, and we just have untreated like, alcoholism or untreated, disease or whatever, like we're going to be resentful. We're going to be, people are talking about me, the list goes on and on, man. Like I know that like if I'm not working my program, like I'm so like I'll have conversations in my head and I'll answer questions that are never going to be asked. So it's like for me, it's like, and when I'm working my recovery, it's like I know that that's just a waste of time. But when I'm not, man, it's there and I'm wasting that time about things that are never even going to happen. You know what I mean? If I'm in the rooms and I'm in touch with my sponsor and I'm helping others and I'm doing what this program suggests that I do, I'm not thinking about that. And I can identify that's a stupid way of thinking. You know what I mean? Because it's like, how productive is that?
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
You're not present at that point in time, right?
Right, because it's never gonna happen either.
Hello.
You know,
Hello.
and it's just wild how our minds can do that, man.
Yep.
You know.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, we're getting kind of towards the end here. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I don't think so. I think this was a pretty good podcast, man. I appreciate you having me on. And,
Yeah, it's a hell of a story, man. A hell of a story, you know. And like, you know, when I was thinking about that, I was like, I think Jason would have a good story for this. You know what I mean? Because like I remember listening to him, like, wow, that's wild, man. It's a hell of a story. You know what I mean? And like God had some mercy on you to put you here where you needed to be, and it's like that's powerful.
Absolutely,
that's really powerful. You know what I mean?
I don't think this would have worked any other way.
Yeah.
Then when Ashley invited me here.
Yeah.
For the first time.
Yeah.
And I came. I took 2 buses to get here.
Yep.
You know, and it was back in January was my first time here.
Yeah.
The minute that I walked in here and saw all the rock trivia, all the things that float my boat that way.
Yeah.
I knew I was home.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, okay, these people have the same mindset as me. This is where I need to come to get my recovery. I had a lot of meetings in other places.
Yeah.
But this place holds a special place in my heart.
And it does to a lot of people. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
All right. So pick a number between 1 and 114.
113.
113. Favorite sport?
Woo! Football.
I'm gonna do number 62.
All right, let's go.
Oh, wrong side. 62. Who was your favorite Disney hero or heroine?
Oh, you kind of got a clue. What if you're gonna go back in the archives on that? Who was it?
Disney.
Think for a second.
I didn't really watch Disney when I was a kid. Mickey Mouse, man. That's all I got. That's all I got, man. Mickey Mouse. All right. Attitude for Gratitude podcast. We're over and out. Peace.
Peace. Right on, brother.